SUVI, welcome to TRunblocked.com. Can we start by you briefly taking us through your portfolio of products?
Yes, and thanks for having me for one. But we at Anora, we have a huge portfolio of products and over 100 brands. And we have a large portfolio of Nordic heritage brands and also global brands that we are selling into the global markets. And we are the aquavit producer of the world. We have very loved massive portfolio of aquavits in the Nordics. We have a strong brands like O.P. Anderson in Sweden, Opland Aquavit in Norway, Aalborg Aquavit in Denmark, just to mention a few. And we have a lot of focus for Koskenkorva, which is our global hero vodka brand. And in addition to that, Skagerrak Gin, which is a Nordic gin brand, Larsen Cognac and Linie Aquavit globally and specifically in Germany.
Yeah, interestingly, it's a broad range, yet you're only focusing on the last four that you mentioned for travel retail. Why is that?
Well, it is our strategy. As mentioned, we have a wide portfolio, but the brands are very Nordic and based on the Nordic heritage, and the consumers are in the Nordic with limited potential for international growth. So we have defined a strategy where our four key pillar brands that we focus on in global scale are Koskenkorva, Skagerrak, Linie, and Larsen. And we don't sell every brand in every market. It's depending on where we have the biggest opportunity for each.
I mean, you currently distribute, I understand, to around 30 countries. I mean, as you know, travel retail as a business requires any company to be long on patience and deep in pockets. What's your current strategy and ambition to expand your global footprint?
Well, we focus a lot on Koskenkorva, as mentioned earlier. That is our hero brand with the biggest potential. And it is a brand where we have a grand ambition to be the most sustainable brand in the world, vodka brand in specific. And we believe that with this positioning, we can really make a difference. We can really differentiate ourselves from a lot of competitors in a way that will really pave the way for us to increase our penetration in new markets, in various new markets. But obviously, we take it step by step. We have a sustainable strategy where we focus on long-term partnerships, investing on partnerships that make sense and not investing on various multiple smaller initiatives. And Koskenkorva is definitely one of our key initiatives with big investments for the future.
Well, as you said, I think twice now, Koskenkorva is your hero brand. It's your
Yes.
flagship brand. And actually, as you've said equally, that it ticks virtually all the sustainability boxes. It also delivers great taste and is a very high quality standard. Yet it's inextricably linked to regenerative farming. I mean, that couldn't have been easy for any marketing person, not just learning about agriculture in detail, but then being able to sell the concept internally as well as externally to all your stakeholder and business partners.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't. Like we had this insight where it all started, that how big of a difference agriculture actually makes to global emissions. According to some estimate, it's like 25% that is coming from farming and agriculture globally, and we work with farmers globally. And to that insight, we realized that we can make a huge difference. First, according to our own production and changing that into regenerative, but then also for the world, and they're telling everybody else to do the same and follow on this movement. But when it started, we had no idea of how to do it. We were clueless. And we talked to a lot of first internal stakeholders, to production, product development, leadership team, and we realized that we don't have anybody in this company who would know how to do it. And then we had to partner with the Baltic Action Sea Group to actually understand how to do regenerative farming and how to measure that it's actually working. And it was a long process, and we really have to transform ourselves as marketeers to look at the world differently, because all of a sudden we as marketeers were sitting there and talking about pesticides and fertilizers and all these things that
Really exotic.
yeah, where we really were not the experts on. But when it's a matter that really makes a difference, then you really have the passion to dig deep into it. But one thing that has been really groundbreaking, also an eye-opening in the process, is that first we thought that this process would be difficult for farmers, that it would require more money, more time, it would require to be them less efficient, and it would be a difficult sell-in to transform the farmers to start farming regeneratively. And once we got into the process and we've got the first product out and started working with farmers, it has been a great to see how it is actually more efficient in the long run if they change back into the way that farming method that it was in the 60s, and it's also not more expensive to do. So then it's like, it's a win-win. It's a mind-blowing thing that
And the
why
yield for
don't we?
them is good. Their
Yes,
margins are better.
exactly. So that's the thing, like, why don't we do it? Why don't the world change into regenerative farming if it's that easy? The only thing is that the farmers will require some kind of upfront investments in terms of equipment, depending on how they are farming. But it pays itself back really fast if it's changed into this way of farming. So it's better for the environment. And I don't think in the 60s it was understood that the way that the farming was done that time is bad for the environment as it is today. So I think it's our job as a brand to tell this story to the world and make everybody else do the same.
Interestingly, you're not alone in that because
No,
major players like Nestle are also into this in a very big way,
exactly.
and it's like been a quantum shift in their overall positioning as a business. And but you're leading the field in the spirits market, and I'd be interested to see how many others ape you. And building awareness is one thing, but actually getting people to convert to regenerative farming is something else altogether. Now, I understand you've got about 20 or so farmers who deliver. I'm not quite sure how much tonnage they deliver. You'll let me know.
Yeah, well, we have 20 now, and it's increasing faster than we expected, and we have the target by 2030. At least two-thirds of the Koskenkorva volume will be regenerative. But that is just the beginning, because we see that in the future everything is going to be regenerative. The regenerative is the future. That is going to be the way that the farming is going to be done in the future, when everybody will understand what we understand right now. So the future is there, and it really adds value to the brand and a lot of substance to the brand to be the one paving the way and being the forerunner for this matter.
So, would you say that? Would you subscribe to the view that without genuine sustainable actions, and I'm talking specifically about regenerative farming here, brands will suffer from what we can dub ecological damage in the long term, that their businesses will suffer because the consumer choice is against them?
Well, definitely we believe that that will be the future. Looking at the future generations and how the young people look at the world right now, it might be a long-term path to get in there, but that's where the world is turning, and we believe that will be the future. But I think everything starts, and I think it's every brand's responsibility right now to do their LCA calculations, to be one, showing exactly where your emissions are coming from, and then being very transparent and very honest about this journey that you are on, so that it doesn't come out as greenwashing to the consumers, that you are doing real things and you really care. And I think right now, the brands that are doing this work up front will be the ones winning in the end, since it's a long-term journey and it's a long process to become sustainable and be a sustainable brand. It's not an overnight thing. It requires a lot of time, a lot of investment from the company, and the consumers will really appreciate and choose those brands in the end who will make this effort now.
Well, I want to pick up on the consumer position because, I mean, arguably there's still far too much greenwashing in the business right now, and this inevitably means different degrees of skepticism amongst the consumer base. I mean, I know sustainability is core in the Nordic region specifically, and increasingly becoming so in others, though, in fairness. But right now, do you think that consumers actually care? How long a road is it, do you think, to get them to genuinely change their mindset?
Yeah, that's a good question, and trust me, we have been thinking about that as well. And when we started this journey with sustainability, we were really thinking, like, do consumers in the spirits care at all? Does it matter to them? Is it actually a negative thing towards the brand if we start talking about these things? And it has been mind-blowing to see, like, when we started the communication and we do testing, how positively consumers are taking all of these messages. And I would say roughly that, let's say in the Nordics and the USA, it's half and half of the consumers. It's half of the consumers right now who really appreciate brands and companies making this effort. It's half who don't care that much as it is right now. But even this half who don't care, it's not a negative thing. It's not a showstopper if a brand is
It's
doing
passive.
that. It's passive. And this passive group of consumers is getting less and less when years go by and the future comes and the future generations are growing. So, but definitely when it comes to greenwashing, that's one of the big challenges that we have in the industry because there are so many mixed messages for the consumers about sustainability, and consumers get confused what is sustainable. And actually EU legislation is now going stricter with these rules, and that is a benefit for us because we are, as a forerunner, we don't have anything to hide. We are doing exactly the right things, and that is given us the leverage to communicate the brands in a better way and be more credible towards consumers, and then consumers don't have to be so concerned about anything anymore if it's correct or if it's not correct. So the legislation is going to help us on this journey going
Well, I think the
forward.
beauty about this business is its very transparency.
Yes.
And I think that is patently obvious to just about anyone that comes across Nord Group PLC. But let's just return to your brand portfolio. What can we expect from you in the coming months?
Well, I would say coming years, I would take a little bit of a longer perspective in terms of our focus on Koskenkorva and the regenerative farming and the movement and telling this story to the world. Um, you know, the quality of the product is extremely important for consumers. We have one of the highest quality products when it comes to Koskenkorva. When you add the layer of sustainability there, it really gives the package to consumers that then adds value and is going to increase the sales. So it's a summary of many things. But we will invest a lot of for Koskenkorva. There will be a lot of initiatives that you will see coming in the next year, which I can't tell you in more detail right now. And in the shorter view, in the next months, we will have obviously a lot of innovation coming for various brands. It's a Christmas season. We have a lot of Koskenkorva innovation, liquors and so forth, especially in the Nordic markets.
Will we
So
find out
short
more
term.
about that in Cannes?
Yes, you will.
All right,
So
that's
a
a
lot
big
of
yes.
innovation, short term, long term, a lot of talk about regenerative and a lot of focus for Koskenkorva.
Okay, one last question, Suvi. If there are three things that you wanted to say to the business right now, what would they be?
Well, I would say that the future is regenerative, and the consumers are going to choose brands that will have the stronger substance and companies that will make effort, a stronger effort. And it's not about sustainability. It's about not pushing price, not pushing your agenda to consumers, but instead tapping into areas that consumers care about, and that will make a difference.
Suvi, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.